Hi, welcome back. Well, you know the story of David and Goliath. Bible trivia question: what city did Goliath come from? Well, and if you don't know the answer to that, we have an archaeologist, a real live archaeologist with us today, Sharon Staub. So where was Goliath from?
Goliath was from Gath.
From Gath. And you've been digging up Gath for last 8 years, like for a few weeks a year, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
How did that come about?
I was a student at Melbourne University under Professor Louise Hitchcock, and in association with the Bar-Ilan University and the director of the dig, Professor Aaron Mayer, we went to Israel and started digging at Gath.
Wow. That must have been a buzz, like when you actually stepped on that city, or the ruins of that city on the first time, and thought, wow, I'm actually here somewhere where the Bible mentions it. How did that feel?
It makes your Bible come alive. It makes things real to actually walk the streets of a city that Bible characters actually walked in, to walk the streets that David walked in, to walk the streets that Goliath lived in, to touch the architecture and to hold the pots that they used is quite incredible. Wow.
So what are you actually doing there when you're on a dig?
Digging.
Digging?
Digging.
Are you there literally with a shovel digging holes?
Literally with picks, trowels, right down to toothbrushes and dental tools, we're digging.
Well, when you actually find something and you want to uncover it carefully?
Yes.
Wow. Is that fun? Or, I mean, it sounds like hard work.
It is hard work. It's hot and it is heavy and it's hard work, but it is an incredibly rewarding time, especially if you find something that you're actually looking for.
Okay. Or something you haven't been looking for that just comes as a surprise.
That just comes as a surprise, yes.
Now, I understand that for a while there's been this dispute over whether these ruins, which are sort of in the coastal area of Israel, or
they're actually in the Shephelah, in the foothills of Israel, down in the southern half of Israel, and it has been disputed that this site it's Tel Safi, and it hasn't actually been definitively proven that it is Gath. Okay. So one thing that apparently was missing, the Bible mentions that Gath has walls and gates and stuff like that, and there's been no evidence of that. The Bible does mention that Gath is a fortified city because it's a refuge city, and when David goes to Gath as a refuge city, he comes to the gates of Gath, so clearly it has walls and a gate.
Is that when David pretended he was out of his mind and was foaming at the mouth and doing all sorts of...
Yes.
Okay, so that was Gath. All right.
That was Gath. So this year, the fortification walls in the lower city of Gath were revealed in the right time period.
Okay. So that matches with the Bible. So the case for these ruins being Gath
is getting much stronger.
Is strengthened a little further. Wow. Okay. Has there been anything else that's been sort of uncovered there that connects with the biblical record?
There was 2 years ago. There was a complete altar found that is exactly the same dimensions as the altar of incense from the Bible. It is a two-horned altar. Most altars in the Bible are four-horned altars, but this was a two-horned altar. But it was inset into a wall as well. So where the second set of horns would have been was actually inside a wall.
Yeah, because sometimes you read the Bible and they say the altar had horns on it. You think it sounds a bit strange, but you're actually digging these altars up and they're real. So is there like some little curved protrusions on the corner? Is that how it works?
It's a monolith piece, so it is carved out of a single stone, and it is the stone literally comes up and curves over at the top like this, and then comes down and then into the flat of the altar.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. So obviously Melbourne University's involved with this, where you are studying. But there's universities from all over the world involved there. How many people on the dig there during the digging season? Anything
from 150 to 200 people are on the dig from all over the world. And that's the Bar-Ilan University in Tel Aviv, the Weizmann's Institute in Tel Aviv, Brigham Young University in the States, the University of Manitoba in Canada.
Wow. See, what I'm starting to realise, like talking to Gary Webster, who appears on our program quite often, is that archaeology is actually quite a politically and ideologically, hot area of research. And there are people who dig things and discover things and then write out their papers on things to prove all their different points. Do you see different agendas sort of coming through with all those people on that dig?
Not necessarily on this dig, but across the board in archaeology you do see those agendas coming through, and you sometimes do need to question people's motives for their interpretations.
So are some people there to actively disprove the Bible, or actively to prove the Bible, or to bolster up their Jewish national identity or their Arab national identity? Is that the sort of thing that you're seeing?
All of the above. All of the above.
Yeah. And so how do they get on then with each other and working together?
They don't generally work together on the same digs. You see this sort of rivalry happen in published works. So then it is peer reviewed, and then there's rebuttals that are published about that as well. And at the end of the day, I suppose it's up to the people who read all of this to make up their own mind.
Okay, but on the digs you've been involved in, it's generally a pretty good spirit. Everyone's there to just uncover what's actually there.
It's a great spirit on the dig that we have at Talasafi. It's very welcoming, and everybody is quite engaging.
Okay, so when you then come to open your Bible and you're reading about some of the places that you've been and seen and even dug up, is it sort of difficult to take the Bible seriously when you know there's so much more to the story, or how does it work?
No, it's not difficult at all. It actually makes your Bible a lot more engaging. It's a lot more real. It makes things a lot more focused as well. To be able to have walked the streets that the Bible talks about makes what you're reading in the Bible come alive. Yeah,
because I guess some people have this idea that the Bible is essentially fables and metaphors and things like that. That must be a little bit hard to see it that way when you're actually, holding the rock in your hand that's mentioned.
Yes.
Now, I know this might be a bit speculative, but I think I heard you mention before that at Gath you even found an inscription that may have mentioned the name of Goliath?
We found an ostracon, which is a piece of pottery. The piece of pottery is about this big, and it actually has writing on script on that piece of pottery, and that's been translated to the word or the name Goliath.
Okay, but Goliath is apparently quite a common name, so...
Goliath is a common name, and it doesn't necessarily mean it was our Goliath from the Bible, but that ostracon can be seen in the museum now in Jerusalem.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, hey, thanks just for that tiny insight, and it just makes me excited. And even though you're quite close to Gaza there, aren't you? And you've had like rockets coming over the...
Yes.
Yeah, which is a bit scary, but that adds another level of excitement to it. But thanks so much for sharing just a little bit of what you've been experiencing over the last few years.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that too. We'll see you straight after the break.